welcome so much to our first Thread Talk of the year. I am so excited. I have no idea how 2023 just kind of flew by, and I didn't even realize it was Christmas time, and now we are here and it's January and we're starting with a whole new year. And I'm trying not to fall into the whole like making all these goals for the year and just failing halfway through. So I'm just like taking it easy and just enjoying the weeks as they come. So yeah, this is our first one, and I am so excited about our guest today. For those of you who are just coming in, if you're watching this live, you have the chat on YouTube. Please tell us, where are you connecting from? What's your name? What's your story? Tell us about you. And during the interview, feel free to ask any questions as you go. I'm sure you all are dying to hear about Courtney, about her life. I'm dying to know more about her. So this is going to be super fun. And for those of you who are watching this on replay, this is the Plyful Thread Talk. If you want to know more about Plyful, we are a crochet-based platform, and our mission is to elevate crochet and to bring people together. So we have a bunch of guest designers, one every month, either a guest one or me, and they bring a new pattern for you guys to work on. We work on them together. We have master classes. We have events like this. We have, just hangouts during the month as well. You can keep track of your projects on the website. You can keep track of your library of patterns. And we are trying to just create a community that is lovely and based on crochet, which is something that we don't really have. So hopefully you guys can join us. So learn more about it over there, plyful.com. Come and hang out with us. All right. So today we have a really, really amazing guest. Her name is Courtney Clark, and she's from Canada. She's an amazing crochet designer, and I cannot wait to learn more about her. So please let us know where you're connecting from, and we can say hi together. Hi, Courtney.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let me just put your little... There you go.
Magic.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's so nice to finally have you here. I feel like we've known each other in, the Instagram space and crochet designer space for so long, but we've never actually talked to each other. So this is kind of like a new thing.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm feeling a little sleepy today. I think it's all this gray weather, but overall I'm good.
Okay, it makes me feel better that you're having gray weather as well. Because, last time we had Jess from Chile, and she's like, oh, yeah, it's sunny over here. We're at a swimming pool. And I'm just like, no.
No.
Not okay.
Not a fan of that. No.
I know, right? So we have someone over here, Shapoof. Good morning from Canada. So excited to see a Canadian designer on Plyful. Tell me, are there many Canadian designers? I feel like I know quite a few. Is that like a thing?
I feel like it is a thing. When I think of crochet designers, like a lot of Canadians come to mind, which is strange because we don't have that big of a population, right? You would think there would be more from like the US or the UK, but there just seems to be a lot of us in Canada, that's for sure.
True. That is true. And you guys are all very talented, so that's really cool. I guess it's the cold, isn't it? You gotta keep warm.
Yeah. And have something to do for 6 months of the year while you're inside.
Oh, yeah. Well, welcome to the UK as well, right? Yeah. So let's get started then. I would love to know what your day looks like. So I feel like you and I, even though we love designing, we have very, very different lives. And I would just love to know what life as a designer without children looks like, because I'm so jealous. Tell us, what's your day like?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it probably does look a lot different. Since I have been designing full time, I no longer set an alarm in the morning, so I just kind of wake up when my body wants to wake up, which is really lovely. Sometimes my dog wakes me up before I naturally wake up on my own, but I forgive him, he's old. So usually I just kind of start my day by letting the dog out, making some tea. I typically have a little crochet time first thing in the morning as I drink my tea and kind of wake up. And then I try. I don't do it every day, but I try to at least sit down at my computer for a couple of hours and like get some admin work done in the morning, because if I don't in the morning, it
Yeah.
doesn't get done. So I try. Doesn't happen every day, but I try.
Those dreaded emails,
Yeah,
right?
emails, pattern writing, pattern grading, like planning out social media. Yeah, it takes a lot more computer work than people realize, that's for sure. And then afternoons
Yeah.
are dedicated to other things. Sometimes more computer work, sometimes more crochet work. I try to take my dog out for at least a half-hour walk every afternoon before it gets dark, and that's pretty much it.
That's cool. Are you kind of like a workaholic, you think, or are you pretty good at separating your life work balance
I
thing?
am definitely not a workaholic. I mean, I will always work if it's there and I have nothing else to do. But I also love how my work is so flexible. So I can say yes to just about everything. I can drop just about everything and go and do whatever I want, whenever I want. I see a lot of other designers and stuff who are just like working 24/7, and that isn't really appealing to me. I like working part-time or super flexible.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's like the joy of being self-employed, right? I keep telling my husband that, and he's like, "Yeah, but we have to work more." I'm like, "Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but it's fun." So,
Yeah.
life has to
Yeah,
be
it's
fun.
flexible and like
Yeah. So, what kind of things do you do for fun?
for fun, I mean, a lot of my fun time is with my dog, taking him for walks, going on hikes, things like that. As most people know, I'm a pretty avid traveler. I haven't been doing a whole lot of that in the last little bit, but those are kind of my biggest things: my dog and my travel. I watch a lot of hockey, so that I mean that kind of crosses over with work as well too, because I can crochet and watch hockey at the same time.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's
Yeah.
definitely work,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, you mentioned the van life, and I think that's so amazing because if you guys know, me and my family are about to move into a motorhome literally in 2 weeks, and long story why we're not in a motorhome yet. Okay, I will tell you eventually. But yeah, we're supposed to be there
It
right now.
always takes longer than you
But
think
I'm
it's
so
going to get in there.
Oh
Yeah.
god, yeah, you don't even know. Especially with dogs. Our dog was missing a vaccination that we didn't know literally 2 days before we were supposed to leave. So we're stuck until it's
Mm.
time for him to get his health certificate. And Europe is a mess. But anyway, I am dying to know, how long did you do it for? How was it? Living in a van with all your yarn. How did you organize yourself? Like, what was it
I
like?
mean, work-wise, it was not easy. I did not work a whole lot in the van just because it's such a tiny space. It's only 66 square feet in my camper van, and I need a bed. I need all of my clothes, all of my cooking stuff, a fridge, all of my dog stuff, and then all of my work stuff as well too. Um, so it definitely was challenging. I had one big deep drawer, no, two big deep drawers. I forgot about that other one, dedicated to like yarn and notions and whips and things. And then up above the driver's seat and passenger seat in the front, there was like, I don't know, like an 8 or 10 inch kind of storage thing that goes over the head. And I had a big
Okay.
one of those like zippy pouches that you put under your bed. I had one of those full of yarn as well too, and that was kind of my dedicated work area, or storage area.
Hmm.
And obviously I've been designing about a garment a month now for the last 3 or 4 years. And that adds up quickly. So when I would reach kind of the tipping point where my yarn was taking up too much room, I would ship a box to my parents' house because I was storing a bunch of my things in their backyard. They had like a storage trailer for all of my things in their backyard. So ship a box to them, and then I would just get yarn for upcoming designs shipped
Go.
to wherever I was.
That's great. It must be hard to kind of organize yourself to that degree, right? Of like knowing how much you'll need of how much of what and
Hmm.
when.
And
Like,
where?
do you consider yourself a very organized? Yeah, I know. Like, do you consider yourself a pretty organized person?
No. No. Not at
Really?
all.
I don't know why, but I just assumed that you were like super anal and like not anal, that's not the right word, but like you know what I mean? OCD intense organization
No.
because I don't know how you do it otherwise.
I don't know how I do it either. I think my anxiety is the only reason that I get things done. Um, Organization is
The biggest motivator.
not it for me. Definitely not it. I'm getting better though. I definitely like I just moved back into a house for the first time in a long time, and I'm really trying to take the things that I learned in van life about organizing and keeping on top of chores and keeping on top of work and timelines and whatnot, and transferring them back into the house, but having like unlimited water and unlimited Wi-Fi and unlimited TV. There's a lot of a huge kitchen. There's so many temptations for like other areas to spend my time rather than working and cleaning up after myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. Well, I'm a bit nervous, but I am very excited. And how long did you do it for?
Well, I had the van for 3 years and was planning on living in it for those full 3 years. But something happened in 2020 that we're all aware of. And the borders between Canada and the States were closed for, I think it was like a year and a half. So I could not go south, and I was not living in my van in the winter. So for the winter of like 2020 into 2021, I was in a house, but not by choice. I would have preferred to be in my van somewhere in the south for that time. So from like summer 2020 until summer 2023, the van was my primary residence.
That's really cool. And I know this is not like a van life plug, but I'm so interesting. So, best place, best memory?
Um, I mean, Baja in Mexico was pretty fantastic. You can just roll up on a beach and park and eat tamales and drink tequila. It's pretty great.
Yeah, yeah. I know, I miss it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm from Ensenada. I don't know if you knew that. I grew up in
Oh,
Ensenada, which is in Baja
I
California,
did not know
right
that.
below Tijuana. Um, yeah, yeah. I was just back last summer after 10 years of not
Oh,
being back.
wow.
So actually not last summer. Gosh, 2 summers ago.
Time,
Quick
yeah.
story time. Um, I know, right? Anyway, someone's asking, do you use a special system to keep track of your yarn stock, like Ravelry or a Google spreadsheet, or do you just
This is
remember?
where my disorganization comes in. I would love to be more organized with things like this, but I just am not. Also, I've never been someone who has like a big yarn stash. Going back to my
Okay.
craft show days, when we talk more about the start of my business, we'll get into that. But back then, I had a huge yarn stock, but it was just yarn that was going into making products. It wasn't like a typical yarn stash. And now I, and from being in the van, I only acquire yarn that I have a design planned for. So right now, the only yarn
Hmm.
I have in stock is like yarn that gets me through till maybe like June for designs. So I'm not amassing all of this yarn just because I think it would overwhelm me a little bit. A lot.
Yeah. Oh, I've done that too. I feel like right now, when I was organizing my yarn for this trip, I kind of tried to do that, and I found some yarn that I bought at a festival like two years ago, and I was like, I love it. It's so beautiful, but it's like if I didn't have a project for it, like it's just been sitting there for two
Mhm.
years, and like you say, when the space is so precious, you can't get away with that, can
Yeah,
you?
exactly. I only had 420 cubed feet for me and my life and my dog and his life and my business. So I had to be very, very
Yeah.
careful. I feel like some people's yarn stash would have filled my entire camper van.
Yeah, yeah, gosh, I'm a bit nervous about that. I think I'll do a little video later of like how much actually I'm taking, and people will be a bit surprised because I'm not taking very
No.
much. All right, another question that came up that I skipped, and I'm very sorry about that, Renee. What kind of dog do you
I
have?
have a little terrier mutt. He's just sleeping on the floor right here. I'll show him off. He's the sweetest boy in the whole wide world. Come here. Do people want to see him, honey?
We have seen him quite a bit on Instagram, but if you guys have missed it, he's very cute.
This is Boomer. He's my little terrier mutt.
Hmm.
And he's an old man. And
Have you had him for a long
yeah,
time?
I got him in September of 2009.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I've had
Okay.
him his whole
Yeah.
life. And he's like, Mother, I was sleeping. You
No.
see that sleepy face? Oh, goodness. Okay, that's Boomer. He's
Yeah.
gonna go back to bed now. He likes to sleep until
Yeah,
around 1
fair enough.
p.m. every day. That's his dream life.
Now, okay, tell us about your crochet journey. Let's get on topic.
Sure.
Who taught you to crochet? How did you get to where you are?
So I taught myself to crochet. I just looked up YouTube videos and different blogs and
Okay.
books and resources and things like that. But I come from a long line of crafters, so it would not be doing my family
Okay.
a good service if I said, oh, I just learned all on my own. But I come from a whole family of craftspeople. So on my mom's side, her mom, just about every craft. She sewed, she quilted, she taught me how to cross stitch as a kid. So
Okay.
she did a lot. My mom also did a lot of sewing. She always sewed Halloween costumes for my brother and I every year. She also did a lot of knitting. So that's kind of my mom's side. Oh, and her dad was a photographer as well, so in the creative industry as well. Then on my dad's side, my dad is a carpenter by trade, does a lot of really intricate woodworking. His dad did
Okay.
really beautiful stained glass work. My computer is overheating
Mhm.
and it's starting to slow down. I want to find something to prop it up. Just give me 1 second here. I don't want to lose you guys.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Take
I
your
want to
time.
find something to let it breathe a bit. But I don't really have anything in this room other than shoes.
My computer does the same thing. I have like a little ventilator thingy that I have to put under it because it's so
Yeah,
old.
I'm loving
And
this. I've got also my external microphone on and my Bluetooth headphones in. It's like, what are you doing to me? Okay.
well, that's the joy of technology, isn't
Mhm.
it? I will do what you want to the point that I want to.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, that should let it breathe a little better. So yeah, my grandpa did a lot of stained glass work, and my grandma was the baker of the family. She made all these beautiful cakes and pies, and
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of crafting.
So as a family,
Mhm.
yeah, so as a family, did they like understand your kind of life mission and goal and stuff? Like they're not like get a real job kind
No.
of thing?
um, while
Good.
all of my family were and are craftspeople, I don't think anyone really ever took their crafting beyond a hobby. I mean, my dad kind of did. He
Okay.
built homes for a living, but that wasn't like his woodworking stuff. That was a lot more. Um, and I remember when I first kind of got the idea to make my crochet hobby into a business, my parents were like, okay, sure. Like
Have
that's
fun.
that's not a thing. They deny that now.
Yeah.
If they saw this, they'd be like, oh no, we were supportive from day one. They absolutely were not. um, but here we are, 10, 11, 12, what year is it? Years later, they're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And they're always asking for updates on it and are very, very supportive of it. But they just didn't think that
Oh.
it was a thing. They didn't think it could possibly be a thing.
I mean, I didn't know it was a thing until I did it,
Same.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. I had no
yeah,
idea. I,
that's
mhm.
really cool. And like, how did your business progress? Like, were you like I used to sell on the like the streets,
Pretty much.
stuff, and then I went to designing. Was that kind of a
Yeah.
similar
So
progression?
I started crocheting. I think it was the week between Christmas and New Year's. So we've just passed an anniversary of when I started crocheting,
Okay.
and I think it was either the Christmas of 2009 or the Christmas of 2010. No, 2008 or 2009 that I started crocheting. And then that following year, I did a lot of like hats and headbands, infinity scarves, things like that, just for friends, family, coworkers. I sold some at a couple of charity events at my university, things like that,
Okay.
but it wasn't really anything. And then I got like a couple of my own designs, using that term very loosely. They were basically just beanies and infinity scarves, which was just double crochet infinity scarf.
Hey, it
Yeah, and I
counts.
started selling them to kind of more like secondary people. So I would sell them to like coworkers or like coworkers'
Okay.
family members that saw them. Um, and then in 20 late 2012 is when I opened my Etsy shop. And then started selling my
Hmm.
infinity scarves and things on Etsy. And um, it was the summer of 2013 that it was actually
Hmm.
my ex who was like, you've kind of got a knack for stuff. Like when your friend texts you and says, hey, can you make me a headband that looks like this? Then you just sit down and do it. Why don't you like make something out of this? And he owned a branding agency and was a graphic, or is a graphic designer. I presume he's still graphic designing. And he was the one who actually helped me to name Tinderbox and made that Tinderbox logo for me and kind of gave me a little bit of a
Oh,
kick. And it wasn't until we broke up that I was finally like, yeah, I kind of want to take this a little bit more seriously and like get Tinderbox going. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's really cool. And why Tinderbox? Like, where did
Oh,
it come from?
your audio just glitched. I didn't hear that.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Where did Tinderbox come from?
The name.
What does it
Yeah,
mean?
so it's funny. I had a journey with the name because it was my ex who came up with the name. Um, Initially, I wasn't a fan. I was like, I don't think that's it. Didn't really know where I didn't resonate with it. And then we broke
Okay.
up, and I extra didn't resonate with it. And I was thinking about changing the name, but I didn't know what to change it to. And it was summertime again, and I was up at a cottage with one of my friends and her two kids, and the two kids wanted to make s'mores, so we had to put a fire together. So I was like running around the cabin like looking for all of the things that you need to make fire. There might
Hmm.
have been a bit of wine involved as well too, in my brain processing all of this all at once. um, so I'm
Of course.
running around the cottage, like collecting the tinder, collecting the this, collecting the that to make this fire. And I was like, oh, tinderbox. A tinderbox, like traditionally, what a tinderbox is a little box that I don't know, like hunters and people would carry around that had all of the components that they needed
Hmm.
to make fire. And I was like, wait a minute,
Make a fire.
I
Yeah.
have all of the components to make fire. I've always had them. Uh oh. My
Yeah.
laptop just
No, I can hear
okay,
you.
no, my screen just went black on me. We're back. We're back. It was just the sleep timer went on.
Oh, fun.
So I feel like I always had all of those components to make the fire. All my ex did was just point out and be like, "You're making fire." So that helped me to kind of
Yeah.
realign myself with the name, and that was kind of the journey with the name. And now it's been Tinderbox ever since.
That's really cool. I love that. And I feel like a lot of people that start a creative business, something like what we do, there's a lot of insecurity. There's a lot of like, the whole imposter syndrome and stuff like that. But I feel like you're very confident. You're confident in your abilities. You're confident in what you can do. Where does that come from? Like, is it from experience of working hard, or do you actually experience this as well?
It's a bit of a number of things. I think a lot of it is, well, I mean, like I'm not confident all of the time. I do still have imposter syndrome. That's an important thing to know. But so a lot of it comes from like fake it till you make it. Just like put on the face, do the thing, and it has helped me to build confidence over the years. It
Yeah.
didn't come overnight. It didn't happen magically. It was just a slow build over the years, realizing that I am capable of doing this. I do continue to grow. I like it's just a slow build over time and fake it till you make it.
I like that because I feel like in society these days, especially for women, we are trained to like think less of us, to think that what we do is not good enough, what we do is not special enough. But I think, it's good that we think about what we can actually do and, kind of take ourselves seriously before the world takes us seriously. It's working. Hello.
Hello.
Yay, there you are.
Yeah, I saw you
Woohoo.
brought me up briefly there earlier, but my audio wasn't working. I couldn't hear you, but I can hear you now.
Yay, no worries. I'm glad you figured it out. Well, these people, I must be so tired of my voice, so I'm glad you're here.
Sorry about that. I don't
Thank
know
you,
what
best.
is going on.
No worries. Thank you everyone for being so patient. So yeah, we were talking about, security, but now that let's just move on. I feel like we're ready for something else because I am dying to know about your favorite parts and your least favorite parts of your job. About Tinderbox.
Favorite part is the actual like designing, problem solving that goes into creating a design. I definitely have always liked solving problems, so I think that's definitely it. Not that I look at designs as problems, but like they are, though. They're like a math problem that you have to like figure out all of the dimensions of a person's body in
Yeah.
order to get them to be finished. Least favorite part, all of the admin work that goes into it. Bookkeeping, having to constantly feed the algorithms. Yeah, those are probably my two least favorite parts.
Definitely. But talking about Instagram and the algorithm, I had a question. What role has Instagram and the community, the yarning community, has had in your business and in your personal life? Because I know that you've made really good friends, right?
Yeah, I definitely have made a lot of really good friends off of Instagram. So it has played a really big part of my life, and I'm grateful to it. And I'm never going to be one of those people who's just like constantly complaining about not getting seen on Instagram or having to do reels every day. Like I recognize it as part of my job. But it has brought a lot of really positive things into my life. A number of my closest friends, like almost all of my closest friends, I've met through the online community. The city that I decided to live in, I chose based on the online community. This is a city that has a lot of crafters in it, including a couple of those really close friends that I met through Instagram.
That's really cool. I love that. I got to meet one of my best friends from Instagram last year in real life for the first time ever. And it was so weird how it's like we've never actually seen each other in person, but like, it's like, I know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do know exactly what you mean. I am going to be meeting two of my best friends in the whole world in real life for the first time later this year, and it's just, yeah, it's very strange making that an in real life thing.
Yeah, definitely. That's so cool. Now, in your 10 years that you say that you've been crocheting and since Tinderbox started, can you think about the biggest high and maybe the lowest low of your career? We've all had them.
I'm sorry, Sandra, that audio is coming through so choppy. I'm not really sure
Oh no,
what
I'm
to
sorry about that. Um,
do about it.
I was asking, can you hear me? Hello, hello.
Like I can hear you,
How?
but it stretches your voice out at some points and then speeds it up at other points, and it's just not. I'm not able
That's so
to.
funny. Okay, I will write it for you because people can hear me, and I think you're having issues with your computer, which is completely fine. So I am asking, what is your highest high and lowest low of your career? I'm a very
Yeah, I
fast typer,
see,
apparently.
Sandra. Sorry, the highest high and lowest low. Okay. Is everybody able to hear me? Okay. Like I want to make sure that you're able to hear me. I feel bad that this isn't really working.
No, I think people can hear you all right. I can hear you all right as well.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I shall carry on then. I'm like, everything looks good on this end, but your video keeps pausing and your audio keeps pausing, and I can't hear you. Um, Perfect. We can
Would
hear
you
me. Good.
yeah,
Okay.
go for it.
So
Tell us.
highest high. Um, I don't really know. I feel like the Danica pullover was more of like a turning point for me. I can't really think of
Okay.
a highest high, but that was right after I was like back in the van after the winter of 2020, 2021. Obviously not my most favorite winter because I was planning on being south for it and couldn't go south. Got back in the van. It was March 2021, and that pattern, I was having some technical difficulties, and I finally got it up, and people showed up and bought that pattern. And I was like, oh, I I can really do this. This is a thing. This is actually going to work. I'm not just totally crazy and thinking that I could make this a career. That was kind of a big turning point for me for sure, was with the Danica pullover, which is she's right there. It's like a cowl neck with a tie up pullover sweater,
Yeah.
super simple, double crochet, DK weight. But that one, people just resonated with her, and she's still a very good selling pattern to this day. I feel like that was a big high for sure. Lowest low, I'm not really sure. There isn't anything that stands out as, again, like a defined low point. I definitely have weeks or days that are overwhelming, where I'll have like 4 testers drop out of a test in a day and get like 3 complaints from customers on Etsy who can't download their patterns. And I'm like, today's a lot. But there's no like one specific day that stands out. It definitely comes in waves. Right now I'm in a wave of calm, but I do have a test ending next week, so we'll see how things go after that.
It's always a fun part, isn't it?
Yeah,
Thank you, Courtney. That was a great answer. And I will speak very slowly. Hopefully, it works. Yeah?
I can make you out right now. Yeah.
So, can you tell us about Olive, please?
Yes, this is Olive here. You probably saw her in her full glory when I got up to get the dog earlier. So last year I designed my first Henley last January, actually. January or February? Maybe February. Either way, last year, early in the year, I designed my first Henley, and I really, really loved it. My audience really, really loved it. So I wanted to do that, but a little bit different. I wanted something that had more ease, so we worked a little more ease into this one. And the Henley of this one actually goes below the split for the arms and body, whereas the one I did last year, the split was higher. It was just above where you split for the sleeves and body. So yeah, similar concept in the Henley, but I just wanted to spice it up a little bit, and I think I kind of did that with Olive. Got a nice, like, not too fitted, slightly tapered sleeve, which is kind of my favorite sleeve fit. It gives you lots of movement. It doesn't feel restrictive at
Yeah,
all.
for sure. Now, Shuwen has a very good question. It's not silly. What is a Henley?
So a Henley is just a sweater that buttons up partially in the front. So it's not a full cardigan. It doesn't go all the way down. It's just like, whoop, just the buttons in the front. Buttons, or it could be like a zipper, like a quarter zip. Those are also,
Yeah,
I
I
believe,
had to
considered
learn that too
Henleys.
because I didn't know that either. So, not a silly question that Shuwen.
Yeah,
And
no,
you I remember you posting on Instagram a little while ago how you feel super confident with these round yoke sweaters. And how did you get to that point when you're like, I feel like I don't need testers because I know the shaping really well? Like, how did you get to that point? I want to hear about that.
that again, slow over time. I have designed, I think I went through and counted, and it's something like 70 plus circle yokes that I've designed over the years.
Wow.
And while the stitches changed and the ease changed and the depth of the armhole changes, things like that, it's still fundamentally the same formulas that I'm using in order to figure out how many stitches each size needs in each part of their body in order to have a similar fit to the sample that I make for myself. And I was finding in testing tickle in my throat. I was finding in testing that it was eating up a lot of my time, and a lot of my mental space, with testing these circle yolks. And then I would get tester photos, which are invaluable, but the notes would just be like, "It's great." So the photos are valuable, right? And then I'm like, okay, what am I asking for from these testers then? Am I just asking them for photos? Am I asking them for free marketing? Is that what I'm doing? So it was kind of looking at pattern testing holistically and being like, what is the function? What am I getting out of this? Am I using these people for free labor for my business? I don't want to do that. And that's kind of where I decided to draw the line with circle yoke sweaters. I likely will not be getting them tested going forward unless there's something like very unique about them. Like if I do a color work yoke again, I'll probably get maybe just a couple of testers, maybe a handful of testers just to test it out to make sure that it works. But for the average circle yoke, I don't think that that I'm going to anymore going forward, just because I've done it so many times. It's just repetition. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. That's how I feel about a lot of my designs too. And it just, you kind of do it because you feel like the audience expects it. But I feel like there's a point where, it's more of a hindrance than a help. So yeah, you can't hear me, can you? That's all right. So Courtney, tell us about the yarn, please.
The yarn. This yarn is from my girl Krista. She is the Frosted Stitch. So the Frosted Stitch on Instagram, thefrostedstitch.ca is her website. I think we're probably at least 25% the Frosted Stitch in this cabinet behind me here. I use a lot of Krista's yarn. She's an indie dyer based here in Ontario in Canada. And just an all-around lovely human, and she is incredibly talented in her dyeing. I've worked with a lot of yarns from companies big to small, and Krista's yarn is just so consistent. The depth of her colors is so gorgeous, and I just love her bases as well. They're very soft and versatile.
Great. Well, we might be working with her in the future, so I'm really excited. We have a designer working with us in, I think it's April, and she is providing yarn support, and her colors are, I was mind blown when she sent me the options, so I'm so excited.
Yeah, and she has some new colors launching on April 1st as well, too, so that'll coincide nicely with your April launch as well.
There you go. All right. So, Courtney, we are reaching the end of the whole thing. And I do want to talk about your masterclass and your love of gauge. So tell us, why is it that you are, so committed to spreading your love of gauge? I said it very nicely.
Yeah, I don't necessarily love gauge, but I want people to understand how important it is. You don't have to like doing gauge. Nobody wants to do extra work for this little piece of fabric that they can't use for anything, but it is the building block in order to make garments. And if you don't match the size of that building block, then your finished piece is not going to match. It would be like somebody building a house and looking at the blueprints and being like, well, we're just going to see what happens when we throw up this size of brick and see if we can hit 20 feet wide perfectly. You're just guessing. You're throwing shots in the dark at that point. Like you have no idea if it's going to work or not. And it's all a percentage when you break it down. So while my bust is only 33 inches, someone with a 60-inch bust, percentage-wise, will see a larger impact on the size of their finished piece because of an incorrect gauge. So it disproportionately affects plus-size makers. And if designers aren't encouraging their makers to be doing gauge and getting gauge, then it is doing a disservice to the plus size makers in this community because it impacts them more heavily than anybody else.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's so good. And that's something that I've noticed about you. And I've basically written it every time I write about you as our guest designer, how committed you are to created well-fitting garments and size inclusive. Like, I feel like you think about everyone. And it's hard for smaller people to do. Like, I'm right in the middle of the scale. So I think it's easier for someone like me that's a bit bigger to think of bigger people. But like, I feel like smaller people sometimes have a really hard time imagining larger bodies. And I think
Yeah.
you're doing a really good job covering, the rest of the population.
Yeah, it is definitely challenging for sure. So I wear size 2 of 9 in the Craft Yarn Council sizes. So it definitely um, is on the one end of the spectrum, and it brings up challenges for sure. And again, I've just been listening to testers, listening to plus size makers, reading blogs, consuming every bit of education I can about grading and sizing, from sewing blogs to knitting blogs to other crochet designers and all kinds of things to kind of put together my garments to make them fit everybody as closely in like resemblance to the way it fits my body.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like, yes, anyone can design something. You don't need like really special education, but there is a lot of knowledge to learn. And
Mhm.
if you want to make well-fitted garments, you need to educate yourself. And I think you worked really hard to create that in your patterns. And I'm so happy that someone else is also doing it because, it just makes me feel like there is so much hope and brightness for crochet in the future because we are starting to care about that,
Mhm.
crocheters. We want well fitted garments, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I think crochet in garments is like new when you look at like knitting and crochet and the history of it, right? Like crochet was
Yeah.
doilies and tablecloths and decor. It wasn't necessarily garments. So you and I and a handful of other people are kind of like pioneering this like crochet wearable industry. And I would hope that it's opening up a lot of doors for future designers to come in as well too, because when you look at on Ravelry, for example, and you click knit versus crochet, it's usually about 10 times in every category. There are 10 times more designs that fit that characteristic or that category in knit than there is in crochet. So there's
And
a,
also
a
when it
big
comes
void
to
there.
techniques, yeah, and also when it comes to techniques, like I feel like knitters have perfected these techniques to make things fit right, and crocheters are just catching up. Like we
Mhm.
were sold that a square is a garment for so long that we're just like, just getting to the point where we're understanding that these techniques are there. We just need to
Mhm.
use them with a hook, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of the things that I learned, and I say this to like up and coming crochet designers all the time, I'm like, I started crocheting garments like 10 years ago, and there were zero, count them, zero resources out there about crocheting
Yeah.
garments. There were none. They did not exist. Maybe you'd find like one or two, but that's it. All of the things that I have learned about garment construction have been from sewists, from knitters, and from a whole lot of trial and error. Like, just, oh, sorry, I thought that was a question coming in. So those areas were things that I studied extensively because I have no background knowledge of, I didn't go to fashion school or design school or anything like that. I had to learn it all on my own, and it came from knitting YouTube videos and books from the library about sweater construction and a
Yeah.
whole hodgepodge of areas. Yeah.
Yeah, no, me too. And it makes me so happy that, I feel like we're like minded in that sense. And that makes me very happy. Um,
Mhm.
Andrea says, I love Courtney's story and the details of your discussion. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank
Me
you.
too. All right. Well, we're going to finish off with a little this or that, which I always ask the same questions, and I always love how people have different opinions. So,
Yeah,
this or that. Let's start with fingering or worsted weight.
fingering every time.
Hey, good. Me too.
Yeah.
A color work or lace?
This one is tougher. I'm going to say lace, but it's because I'm working on lace right now. Color work would have been my answer every other year except for this year.
I like that. I feel like your designs are not, they're quite, what's the word? They're like everyday staples, right? But you don't do that much detail that can like make it harder to wear. And I like that
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah, nice
That's cool.
and simple construction is my goal. Sometimes I
That fit well,
venture
of
away from
course.
that, and then yeah, it gets more challenging for sure.
All right, TV or audiobooks? Or books if you're one of those that read and crochet at the same time.
I cannot read and crochet at the same time. So if there's hockey on, it's TV. If not, audiobook.
Okay, great. Anything that you're listening to at the moment?
I am listening to, actually, it's a nonfiction. It's called Extremely Online, and it talks about the history of the internet and social media and influencers, and it's very interesting. I just started it. I'm only like, it's an audiobook. I'm only like an hour in.
Nice. I like that. Okay, crafting indoors or outdoors?
Outdoors in the summer, indoors in the winter.
Oh, yeah, Canada, right?
Yeah, it's real cold.
Snacks or drinks while you crochet?
While I crochet, drinks. I posted a reel, I don't know, about a month ago,
I
about being a
remember.
drink goblin. I typically have a minimum of 2 drinks at any point in time sitting within arm's reach of me. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4.
That's so weird, but I love it. I wish I was that good at hydrating. All right, morning person or a night owl?
I saw this on your list for this or that, and I am neither one. I'm like a crawl in bed by
Okay.
10 p.m. and stay in bed until at least 8 a.m. kind of person.
I like that. You know, I know I have children, and people with children are supposed to wake up really early, but my children are very good sleepers, and we usually wake up around 7 and stay in bed until 8 too. So I'm not a morning
That's
person.
great. That's the only way I think I could do kids. I don't think I would. I'm definitely, if I like had to choose, I would choose night person, because getting me up before 7 a.m. is just not a pretty experience for anybody.
All right, noted. Ice cream or cake?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. That's a quick
Yeah.
one. I like that.
Yeah.
Running or yoga? Are you more like a Zen or like a quick workout?
I am a yoga a million times before running. I will only run if a bear is chasing me or something. I'm not running.
I don't know.
There's
I
no
feel like I
running.
could see you. I could imagine you in one of those like really hardcore workout sessions where you like hit the air and stuff like that.
Not me.
Not you.
Not me. Not at all. No. I
Fair
am trying
enough.
to be better being back in the house, and now that Boomer is older, I've noticed, and being older myself, I've noticed things aren't quite what they used to be. So I'm trying to be better at moving my body every day, but I don't think you'll ever catch me running.
That's good. I've tried to be a runner so many times in my life, and every time I tried, I hurt my back, I hurt my knees. I'm just, I
Right?
need to accept it. I'm not a runner
It's so
before
hard on
it's
your
my time.
body. Yeah, I've
Yeah, it
never.
really is.
Yeah, no. I'm a swimmer. If we're
Awesome.
looking
Well,
for some like good high cardio, it's swimming. It's never going to be running for me.
really? Oh, I do not consider swimming cardio. It's really good for you, but I enjoy the sweat. And I know that's ridiculous, but I like to do spinning whenever I go to the gym on my periods of going to the gym, and I just enjoy the drip. You
No.
know? Swimming
Me.
does not give me that satisfaction.
Yeah, that's fair. I will do anything to avoid sweating. I don't like it. I'm also not really
Fair
a
enough.
sweater. I've always just been somebody who goes beet red when they work out.
Yeah.
So that might be another reason why I just don't enjoy it.
Oh, well, I'm always a sweater. I can like sit down and do nothing and sweat. So, why not work out while I do it?
Why? Yeah.
Um, well, that was a nice way to end our conversation, Courtney. But tell us, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us about what's going on in your life? What are you working on before we say goodbye?
Yeah. Right now I'm working on my last sweater of the winter. And then on to some spring and summer makes. I've got a pattern launching next week. Is it next week already? Hold on. No, the 19th. The 19th. So it's the Friday after our masterclass together. I have a new pair of pants coming out, the Janie joggers. Some of my testers are starting to post photos on Instagram of that. So if you check out, I think it's just hashtag Janie joggers. They're starting to finish up, which is awesome. And then I've got a circle yoke in February, a circle yoke in March, and then on to spring and summer.
That is so exciting. I love that. And Courtney, where can people find you then? Instagram, Ravelry? Where are you?
Yeah, I am. I love Tinderbox everywhere. Am I on the I love Tinderbox there? I make sure whenever a new social media comes out, I grab I love Tinderbox on there. I'm mostly only active on Instagram, intermittently active on TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, everywhere else.
Awesome. Thank you. And if they want to buy your patterns, do you prefer website or Ravelry?
Oh, sorry that the audio just glitched on me again. We were doing so good.
I know, right? I was asking if people want to buy your patterns, do you prefer for them to go to your website or on Ravelry? What's better for you as a
I
designer?
mean, yeah, whichever the user prefers between those two is great. My website, the patterns are 25 cents Canadian cheaper on my website because the fees are a little higher that I pay on Ravelry. But because I made them 25% or 25%, 25 cents higher on Ravelry, it kind of makes what I make from them about the same. So whichever works for the customer is kind of where I'm at between my website and Ravelry. I know some people really like to have all of their patterns in one library on Ravelry.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for coming, Courtney. It was lovely. And some people ask for a sneak peek of next month. And because why not? And I'm terrible at keeping secrets. I'm just going to show it while you're here, if that's okay. Um,
Sure.
so next month we have a color work yoke, and actually one of my testers is here, and I love her design. But it's this guy with Wonder Fluff by Knit Picks. So it's a big chunky thing. It's bulky weight yarn, and I've never used bulky weight yarn. Do you ever use it for anything, Courtney?
I have. I haven't in a while, but I have, and it's just so squishy and lovely.
Oh my god, it's so squishy and it works so quickly. I made this in 2 weeks with like a ton of frogging, and it fits really well. It's got short rows as well. It's got a little bit of longer neckline at the back, so it fits nice and well around your shoulder, and it's got a little rounded hem at the bottom, which I'm in love with. And we're gonna have a crochet along for this one with lots of prices and stuff like that, so definitely stick around. If you guys are here for Courtney, stick around for next month because it's gonna be fun. We're gonna have prices and we're gonna do lots of crocheting together. But yeah, that is Fogata for next month. And this month we have Olive. So if you haven't gotten to the website to download Olive, it's going to be on our website for 6 months, right? So, take advantage while you are on Plyful. And thank you so much for coming, Courtney. It was so nice talking to you.
Yes,
I
you
feel
too.
like I know you so much better now, and I'm here for anything you need. And
Thank
I'll
you.
see you next week. Yeah?
Yeah, and sorry about the technology issues. I don't know. My computer was not having it today.
Don't worry about it. You did great. So thank you so much for sticking around, and thank you to everyone who showed up to watch live. And this will be up on the web on YouTube either today or tomorrow. We'll see if I have time to do it. Have a good night, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.